Oh, Melanie, hello, how are you?
Hello, good, how are you?
It's good, thank you. It's good to see you. It's good to
see you.
Thank you. Tattooist of Auschwitz. It's a different kind of Auschwitz project. I mean, there are still so many. It's a different kind of one. Do you want to explain to us why it's a bit different to what's out there or has been out there?
Well, I think one of the things that makes it different is that it contains within it a love story, a true story of two people who met while they were in the camp and then went on to have a life, married together and had a child as survivors of the camp, which is a pretty extraordinary story. And then also it's an adaptation of Heather Morris's huge best-selling book, but they've done this interesting thing where they've included the character of Heather in the adaptation and shown her interviews with Lali, who was the survivor who she interviewed. So they've included that as well, which was an interesting thing.
Call me Lali.
You're looking for someone to write your life story.
So this is a love story.
And you yourself play Heather.
I play Heather, yes.
And Heather Morris is a real person. And
Yes.
I'm just intrigued with that when I speak to actors, when there's a pressure of having a real person there, is it more of a pressure or less of a pressure when because you can speak to Heather, you can gauge stuff from Heather, and that informs your performance.
Yeah.
Or when it's a blank canvas, you can just kind of go off it or do whatever you want. What is kind of your preference?
My preference is a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Honestly, because then you can just kind of, it comes from here and you're just like, oh, there's that person. This is what she's like. It's tricky. I mean, it's one thing, obviously, if you're playing somebody who's very famous, I got offered a movie where I would be playing someone who was very, very famous. And I sat with it and I was like, I don't think I can do it. I just don't. I think I was sort of trying it on, like I was trying on a dress. And I was like, I don't know if this is aligning within me in a way that doesn't feel like caricature. And so it feels irresponsible to say yes to this if I can't make it feel like it's coming from my body.
Sure.
But it's a different thing with someone like Heather, who is in the public eye. She goes on book tours and stuff like that, but is not a person that the whole world is going to go, oh, I know that person. So there's a certain amount of wanting to be respectful to her and wanting to play a person who she recognizes as herself. And she said she does and she feels good, and that her family members have said, oh yeah, that feels like you. But you're also making it up a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And did you? I'm assuming you met with Heather to.
Yes.
Yeah. And how was that? Was she open
was
to?
great.
Yeah, she seems very lovely.
She's so fun.
Yeah.
She's having the time of her life. She made a promise to Lali that she would get his story on the screen. It was what he always wanted. They would always talk about casting, and she promised him, and it's happening. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing.
How did you meet Gita?
I was Auschwitz-Birkenau tattooer, and I tattooed her a number of her left arm, and she tattooed her number in my heart.
How did the role come to you then? Who I can see why a casting director would think of you when they wanted to cast Heather. There was a warmth there that you exude in your in all your roles. How did the role come to you? What was that conversation like?
I just got an email saying, here's a script, let us know what you think. And I think I got all the episodes at once, and I thought, I think I have time to read one. And before I knew it, I'd read 3 of them. And then I was like,
This is a good sign.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
when you can't stop reading, that's a good sign.
Yeah. And we get to hear your accent.
I know, there's a part of me that's so it feels weird to act with my own accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. Because, you just do American quite a lot, don't
All
you?
the time.
All the
Yeah.
time. Has there ever been a moment where you kind of come in and be like, can I just do my New Zealand accent? And they're like, no, it's got to be American. Or
No, there was one time where a director said, why don't you just do your American accent, your New Zealand accent for this? And I said, will it not be confusing that there's just a New Zealander, it's never explained? He said, no, I think it's going to be fine. So I did the movie with a New Zealand accent.
Yeah.
And then in post-production, he said, it's confusing. The notes we've been getting are that it's confusing. So I had to go in and dub the whole movie
are you joking?
with an American accent.
Was that just time consuming more than anything?
It was time consuming, and also my mouth moves differently when I'm doing an American accent.
Yeah.
And it's a director that I love, and would do anything for.
Nice.
Work with him a million times over.
Yeah.
But he was in the booth and his only notes were, "I'm so sorry. Okay, take one." "I'm so sorry. Next scene." Like, he just apologised.
You share your screen time with Harvey Keitel. I mean, firstly, had you worked with him before?
No.
No, first time.
First time.
That meeting, because obviously it's a very... he is giving one hell of a performance, and he's tapping into some emotions, and you're there responding to that. And there's that amazing line where you say, early on, where you say, "I don't want to write, I want to listen." And I think that really sets the tone for this show and your scenes with Harvey. How intense did that get, I guess? Sitting opposite Harvey with him delivering this amazing performance.
I love that line because, Heather's so... And she did say that, and the thing I love about it is that she was so anxious that she was doing something wrong and she didn't know what she was doing. She'd never written a book before, but then she had the confidence to say, actually, this is my process, which I think indicates that it's a natural thing for her, that it's something that, like, is coming from her soul. And I just thought that was so smart, that she's just like, "No, I just think I want to listen to you."
You want to write this down?
I think I'd just like to listen. The body of work that precedes him, there's so many movies, like, you can't even count. And I also was, like, looking back on it, and I was like, gosh, there's so many times he's worked with directors before they were big, Jane Campion, he did the piano, and, I knew who Jane Campion was, but the world didn't. So, yeah.
That's a really interesting point, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances of that in his filmography where I was just like, wow, that's good taste,
Every time I open my eyes, I am still there.
So this series that I do with The Independent is called Go to Bat, and it's basically a celebratory series designed to shine a light on hidden gems or just, something that was underrated upon release. Mm-hmm. And when I devised this idea, I was speaking to a friend, and they said, your perfect guest would be Melanie Lynskey. And here we are, like, literally not even a year on. So this is great.
Well, thanks to your friend.
Basically, I want to ask you, before I weighed in with my views, I mean, there's a wealth of credits you could pick from, but is there any kind of film that you look back on and you think didn't get its due at the time of release?
It's so sad how many. I love how you're like, you're the perfect guest because you've had so
That's
many.
Not true. It's true, though.
It is true. I was just like, oh, God, there's so many.
Well, to be honest, there are some films that did get the due, but I feel like your performance, it's better than maybe the main performance. No offence to Hayden Christensen, but Shattered Glass, I think you're obviously...
He's so good.
He's really good in it. But, like, you are... I think
so
at the
good.
time, people weren't going, look at this performance. Because
everyone was like, excuse me, who's that? And it's Peter Sarsgaard.
I mean, true.
That's what happened with that movie.
That's true.
And he was... I mean, every moment of working with him, I was just like, when can this happen again?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with him.
He is a legend, and I need to see his Memory, the most recent one.
I haven't seen that either.
And he won a little award at Cannes, didn't he?
He did!
We love that. We love that
could
from Peter.
cry.
I love the I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. When I first watched it, I was like, why is no one screaming about this film? Why do you feel that didn't get the due it deserved at the time?
I don't know. It was such a funny one because it won Sundance.
It did win awards, yeah.
It won the Grand Jury Prize. It's the only movie I've ever been in that's won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. It's a huge deal for independent movies. It's the main thing you hope for. Mm. So we were all just like, oh my God, yes. And then it just kind of like...
So maybe it's at a time when Netflix was... I feel like now maybe it would do much better.
I think it was their first sort of like foray into awards. Like I remember them saying like, oh no, we're not going to submit it to Sundance, and Macon had to fight for it.
Yeah.
And they weren't really, they just were like, we're going to put it on Netflix, so he had to say, can it not be a Sundance movie and a Netflix movie? And there was a whole discussion, and then they were really behind it. I'm not letting you shoot anyone else.
Is that, I guess, there's any directors or indeed actors who, I bet you know, you've cultivated many friendships with many brilliant co-stars. But is there any kind of event in the past, like a project you worked on, where you felt that you needed reassurance, or you were feeling particularly low, and an actor shone through when you most needed it, and you've kind of always thought that's a good egg?
God, there's so many good eggs.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost impossible. I mean, you know, I did a movie when I was 21 with Katrin Cartledge, who was no longer with us, but I mean, the definition, like a beautiful human being and the kindest, funniest. So she was like an angel in my life. Peter Sarsgaard was one where it also was just so fun to work with him, and I'm just like, every time I see him, we're like, we should do something, and I just praying to the movie gods or whatever. Juliette Lewis was pretty amazing. Like, that first season of Yellow Jackets was hard. It was COVID, and we all had to do like quarantine. I was quarantining with a 2-year-old without my husband.
Oh, digging deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just like so energetic and so kind, and yeah, she was great.
What do you think, like, if you could, I'm going to ask you to tap into your career again, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
If you had to pick, like, 3 projects to tell a person who was not familiar with you but is now via Yellow Jackets, that kind of you think tracks your evolution to Yellow Jackets, which would you pick?
Oh, this is an impossible question.
I know, with a few minutes to go, I'm very sorry.
I know, gosh. I mean, I do think I Don't Feel at Home in This World would be one of them.
Yeah.
Because it's a similar kind of like rageful, seemingly quiet person. Maybe Togetherness? Because I think working on Togetherness, I got very confident because there was so much trust with the Duplass brothers, and I got to improvise a lot, and I improvise on Yellow Jackets sometimes.
Great, yeah.
Thank you to the writers. Very gracious of them. Oh my gosh, I really don't know.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's so
I think those are 2 good
hard.
answers. They're 2 good answers. Maybe something like The Informant, perhaps, because it's just kind of wild person again that you're playing. One very last question. I'm very sorry. Yellow Jackets, what can we expect from season 3?
Oh my God, here's what's going to happen. I don't know.
No.
They've given me they actually have given me some secrets.
Don't worry, I'm not going to probe you for them. It's fine.
One of them upset me.
Oh no!
Yeah, it sounds crazy.